Hey everyone, I'm Chris Arpin here at Opaque Colors, back in the booth, and we are ready to do another little instructional how-to on something that's kind of cool. We were looking for different substrates in which we're kind of always painting metal and primed or already pre-painted parts, so we're going to try something a little different. So we have these deep sea buoys, and these are kind of cool. These are legit buoys that we picked up, and they are kind of a foam impregnated kind of hard plastic, almost like a polyvinyl kind of coating on here. So it's actually a good test for some of our products. And we're gonna step these up. We're not just gonna paint regular buoys, we are gonna paint Bougie buoys. So we are gonna actually highlight another product that's new to our expanded Wicked line, and those are our Wicked Opaques. So we're gonna do two different ones, and we're gonna really make these kind of cool. They're gonna be kind of traditional, but just a little more bougie than traditional. So we're going to start with our Outerborn Sealer White. Again, that's the product we always recommend for a ground coat. It really has great adhesion across the board. So we're going to get these both primed up, 2 coats of Outerborn Sealer White. And then on one, we are going to you're going to use the Outerborn Sealer White as our ground coat, and we're going to put some Hot Rod Sparkle White. I say some, we're going to put a lot of Hot Rod Sparkle White. So this is our Wicked Hot Rod Sparkle White. We are going to really put 3 or 4 generous coats over one of these. And then we're going to do a little tape out, like a traditional red cap on the top. For that, we're going to use our Wicked Opaque Red, and we're going to bump that up a notch with a little bit of Hot Rod Sparkle Red over the top of that. And this guy, we're going to go in a completely different direction. We are going to go over our Sealer White. We're going to do our Daylight Blue. This is our Wicked Opaque Daylight Blue. And one coat, I'm going to show you guys, one coat is going to make this intensely blue and really vivid. This is a great covering product. So we do one coat of that, and over the top of that, I'm going to actually hit it with our Wicked Cosmic Sparkle Blue. And then we're going to do a little bit of a detail stripe, a little different than this one, with some Wicked Fluorescent Aqua. And then we'll do something special over the top of that. So I'm going to get these guys hung up. All we did is really quickly just give them a wipe with the Scotch-Brite pad, red Scotch, get them wiped down, and I'm going to hang them up on my rack, and we'll see you guys in a second. All right, guys, we are ready to spray. Just gave this a quick tack, 4011 in my 6001 white sealer, 10%, just like we always, that's our standard right across the board. So 10% 4011. I'm going to give this one coat, see how it looks. It's probably going to cover really well with one. I'll probably do 2 just to make sure. So this is going to be coat number 1. Hi guys, welcome back. It's been about a half an hour. Our white sealer, 2 coats of white sealer is totally dry, and I'm going to go ahead and do one of these with our base coat, which is going to be our Daylight Blue, our Wicked Opaque Daylight Blue. And I'm actually mixing this the exact same way that I mixed our white sealer. With this Wicked Opaque line, you do not have to add 40-30 or what we're recommending, the 40-50. You don't have to do that. So 10% 40-11 reducer, mix it up, let it sit for about 5 minutes, mix it really well, and you are ready to spray. So again, you guys are going to see how fast this color covers over this white. So probably one coat to get good coverage, and maybe a second coat if I think I need it, but one coat, and we're going to see what it looks like. Okay, we got 2 coats of our Daylight Blue on our other buoy, and now while that's drying, I wanted to come back to the table and kind of talk about what we're going to do. Remember, this first one that I did, this is the Sealer White, and we are going to put a lot of Hot Rod Sparkle White over the top of that, probably 3 to 4 coats. I really want that glitter effect, and the Hot Rod Sparkle White over Sealer White gives a great, bright, really clean pearl white, bright, vivid kind of a color. So, when you mix these are actually very concentrated, which is a good thing. So what I'm going to do is kind of go 1-to-1 with my 40-50, our gloss white. All right, so I'm going to go 1 part 40-50 to 1 part Wicked Hot Rod Sparkle White. And this is actually kind of beneficial to you guys too as the end user, because you're actually going to get more product out of the bottle, especially when you're doing something like this, a larger scale. We're spraying with a larger spray gun. It's a 1.3 tip size in my spray gun, and this isn't a really big area, but again, we're kind of large gun application covering more broad surface. 1-to-1 is really good in terms of that mixture. And I'm going to go right around 10 to 15% because that 40-50 is a little bit thicker in viscosity. So you can actually reduce just a touch more. So I'm going to go right around probably 15% and let that sit for about 5 minutes. So right about there, 15%. Mix this up really good. Let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. Get this guy hung up, and then we're going to start spraying our Hot Rod Sparkle White. So see you guys in a minute. Okay guys, we're back in front of the booth here. Got everything going, ready to spray. I'm going to put on my Hot Rod Sparkle White. So I'm going to start with one coat. Remember I said I want to do a generous couple coats of Hot Rod Sparkle. I really want this to be glittery. So I'm going to start with one, see how that looks. We're probably going to end up doing 3 or 4 coats. So I am not going to be moderate with it at all. So this is coat number 1. All right, everyone, we are back one more time. While we were spraying our Hot Rod Sparkle White, our Daylight Blue had plenty of time to dry up. So this was 2 coats. You saw that first coat went down like butter. Second coat was just to make sure everything was nice and even. And now we're going to follow that up with our Wicked Cosmic Sparkle Blue. Now, I mixed this the exact same way as the Hot Rod Sparkle White. So I did a 1-to-1, right around 10% mix, 10-15%. So it's 1 part Cosmic Sparkle, 1 part 40-50, and right around 15% 40-11 reducer. So I'm going to put coat number 1 on. We'll probably do about the same. We'll probably do 3 nice coats. And these are medium wet coats. They probably look a little bit wetter on camera, but it's just a medium wet, almost like a medium coat of clear is essentially how you're trying to apply this, because you're not trying to get coverage. This is just a pearl flake in a clear, a transparent base, so you're not looking to get coverage, we're just looking to put the pearl down. So this is coat number 1. Hey guys, we are back, and we are back onto the Hot Rod Sparkle White buoy. This had plenty of time to dry while we were doing the blue one. I went ahead and laid out a couple little tape stripes, positive, negative, 1/8 inch, 16th inch kind of design pattern here. So what we're going to do is actually apply probably just 1 coat. This is our Wicked Opaque Pyro Reds. This is another new color. 1 coat is probably going to cover this perfectly, so we'll see what that looks like. We might have to do a second just to make sure it's nice and even, but I switched to a minigun just because it's a little bit smaller. This is my LPH 80 with a 1.2 and my E4 air cap, so it's perfect for this type of application. So I'm going to go ahead and spray 1 coat of the Pyro Red. Guys, so we are back, and this is coat number 1. You can see it's actually starting to flash already, but this is something too we get a lot of questions about. This is a product from Ines Iwata. This is an air volumizer. It's a dryer for water-based, waterborne paint systems. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about how you dry the paint, and we talk about heat, and there's a difference between heat and hot air, you know, and air movement, and the necessity basically for using a heat gun. And this is not something we recommend at all. It's too hot. You're going to cause more problems than you're going to get in terms of positive results from using a heat gun. So this is basically the same air that's in my booth, but it just uses compressed air to bump the volume up. It's like a Venturi effect, so you're blowing more air. And this was just wet when I started talking. Now this is dry. This is totally dry. So again, it just shows you that air movement is more effective, more efficient than blasting this with hot air. If I hit this with a wet coat and click a heat gun to it, you run the risk of plasticizing the paint, meaning you're gonna scab over that paint or actually like bake it, boil it right off the surface, and that's not a good thing. So if you apply the paint like I did, you saw it was a pretty medium wet coat, a little bit of air. That's all you need, air movement, and this is totally dry, ready for a second coat. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a second coat. Okay, we are back. Coat number 2 of my Wicked Opaque Pyro Red is totally dry, and again, I just want to touch on some of the best performance of all of our paints are when they're completely dry between coats. You don't want to kind of go semi-wet or wet over something that's already wet. So totally dry. Now I have my Hot Rod Sparkle Red, and I mixed this the exact same way that I did the Hot Rod Sparkle White. So that was 1 part Hot Rod to 1 part 40-50 till right around 10 to 15% 40-11 reducer. So I'm going to go ahead and spray a nice generous coat over this, see what that looks like. We'll probably do the same thing. We'll probably do around 3 or 4 coats to really make this thing pop. So this is coat number 1. Hey guys, we're back yet again. I put my white and red buoy aside so that can dry. I did 3 coats of the Hot Rod Sparkle over that. It looks really good, so we're gonna let that really dry up and move on to our blue one. So you remember I did pretty much the same. I did 3 coats of our Wicked Cosmic Sparkle Blue over that Wicked Opaque Daylight Blue. So I got it taped up again, positive, negative, so the inside of this is gonna stay this blue color. Everything that you see that's blue is gonna get painted fluorescent aqua. So it's a little more subtle kind of a look, but it'll be kind of cool because we're going to go over this aqua with some highlight interference green, which is even finer than the cosmic. It'll give it a really cool kind of soft shimmer kind of glow to it. So it's going to look really cool. Same thing. I mixed my fluorescent. I added a little bit of our 40-50. Some of these fluorescents are very concentrated. And to get a nice even coat, I always like recommending the 40-50 as a carrier for that, especially again when you're using a spray gun, something bigger. So right around 25%. So I did 25% 40-50 to the fluorescent aqua, and I'm going to do 2 coats. Hopefully that should be more than enough, especially over this blue. So we're going to go for coat number 1 right now. Okay, my fluorescent aqua is nice and dry, and actually was about 4 coats. You can see that first coat was pretty transparent, but that's okay. I want to lightly build this up. So we just want a little bit of that contrast. So that is all dry. I have my highlight interference green, and I'm going to basically do a coat and a half, basically. Just kind of one wispy mist coat over this entire thing. I'm not going to over apply this because this is one product that if you over apply, it tends to start kind of milking it out, kind of turns it more pastel. So we're looking for just that effect, that soft kind of glow on the curves of this shape instead of just oversaturating it. It just makes it, this is going to look pastel green. So kind of kills the effect. So less is more for this. And I mixed this the same way as the Hot Rod Sparkle and the Cosmic Sparkle. I mixed it 1-to-1 with our 40-50 and right around 10% 40-11. So 1 coat, you guys will see what that looks like. Okay everyone, welcome back. Our buoys are all painted, totally dry. Usually we recommend about an hour before you top coat these and move on to the next step. These actually we have a chance to just dry overnight because it was late in the day. So these are totally dry, and we are going to finish them off with a top coat. And for this we're going to use our 40-50, our UV LS gloss top coat. So we are going to give it a good shake. And we're going to mix this, reduce this right around 10%. So we're just going to kind of eyeball it right around 10%. That's another thing we get a lot of questions on in terms of ratios. So I need about, I'm going to mix about that much there. It's right around 6 ounces. And I'm going to go right about there. We want you guys to let this sit for about 5 minutes after you mix it. Really thoroughly mix this in. If you notice anything, especially with water-based products, the reducer initially kind of wants to sit at the top. It doesn't just splash right in and melt the paint, essentially like a solvent-based reducer. But a lot of times when you add that solvent, that reducer, it just skates it out immediately, where you got to work this in just a little bit more. Be really mindful in terms of making sure this is thoroughly mixed. What will happen is it'll actually start to break down the clear a little bit too in terms of that reduction. So this reducer's really got to get a little bit of time to work this product. And that's kind of what we want. We want a little bit thinner than that. It's kind of just showing you guys too, this is not exacting. We say 10%, and 10% is great, you know, but if you got to go a little more, a little less, you'll get the feel of where it is. And that's what I want. I want that flow, just like that, right off the stick. So we're gonna let this get settled. I'm gonna grab my gun, and we'll see you guys in a minute, and we'll start spraying some clear. All right, welcome back. We are ready to spray. Got all these wiped down and ready to go. I'm gonna do 3 coats of the 40-50. So I'm gonna do 3 nice medium wet coats. We're gonna get just a little bit of a blue shade to that clear, and that's kind of an indicator of what you have in terms of how much material you want to put on. So it'll be slightly blue, just a nice medium wet coat of clear. So this is coat number 1. Hi guys, we are back in the booth. Our Bougie buoys are all cleared and they're ready to go. I did 3 coats on there. It was enough material to give me a little bit of leeway in terms of knocking these edges down, because that's kind of what we're going to cover. We're going to cover sanding and buffing. So I just lightly hit these with a little bit of 1500 dry, and then I finished that with a little bit of 2000 wet. And that's kind of a question that comes up quite a bit, is can you wet sand our 40-50? And you absolutely can. The biggest thing you don't want to do is just really let the water puddle up on a surface, right? So you can use it. Actually, sandpaper will work a lot better. In my experience, and as far as I'm concerned, I prefer a wet sand, but I'll dry sand for that first initial cut, only because you can see any kind of surface texture that you might have. It's a lot easier to do it dry and just kind of wipe off your dust as you're moving. When you're doing it wet, the whole surface is wet. It's harder to see kind of where you've been and where you're going. And it's a lot easier in terms of a visual standpoint. So we're going to talk about wet sanding. Wet sanding, we want you to let this product dry for at least 24 hours. Okay, so a nice solid cure, and you can wet sand this product, and you're not going to have any kind of issues with it. If you let it dry a little bit longer, that's obviously going to be a little better. Typically about 48 hours would be ideal, but 24 hours is fine. I just went ahead and hit this, like I said, with a little bit of 1500 dry. And you have an example of that. These are dry film discs. These are for a DA, but you can get just regular paper as well. And this is designed to do a dry sanding application. And then under here, I have just traditional wet sand paper, and that's stuff that you can get from 1,000 all the way to 2,500 grit. So I finished it off with a little 2,000 dry, wet, and I went to my Presta. This is a company that I've been using for pretty much as long as I've been in the industry, and I've never been disappointed with their products. The name of the company is Presta, and this is part of their Pace line. It's actually designed for random orbit sanders or polishers, but it works extremely well just because it stays wetter a little bit longer to really work the polish. So for this, I just finished this with, actually this is like their medium cut and an orange foam pad, and they look just like this. So it was very easy. It's a great product. It's a water-based product. So it's super easy to clean. It's user-friendly, and it's available. You guys can check them out. They have a whole line of products and other stuff in different ranges that I've been using for a long time. Like I said, I've used a lot of products out there, and I've always gone back to Presta. And you guys don't have to use that. If you have a preference, that's cool, but we do get questions in terms of what you recommend and what we use. And I've used this quite a bit on our 40-50, and I know it works extremely well. So that's my recommendation. So that wraps it up for these guys. We're going to take these outside and try to get a real good visual in terms of the booth lighting in here. Like I said, just doesn't really do it justice. So we'll catch you guys outside. We'll see you in a minute. All right, guys, we are outside. We managed to grab some sun. We got a beautiful sunny day, and I think that's the only way to do these colors justice in terms of what it looks like inside the booth and what it looks like out in direct sun. So we'll start with the white and the red. This was our Sealer Red with our Hot Rod Sparkle White over the top of that. And this was our Wicked Opaque Pyro Red. And we did Hot Rod Sparkle Red over the top of that. So again, just a really simple, awesome effect, really easy to achieve. Just color keying those sparkle flakes with the base coat color. So it's a solid base coat color with a little bit of the Hot Rod Sparkle over the top of that. And then over here we have our Wicked Opaque Daylight Blue and our Fluorescent Aqua. So over the Daylight Blue, I use Cosmic Sparkle Blue. It's a little bit smaller flake. Still gives you a really cool metallic look. It's just not as big in terms of size. And then we have our Wicked Aqua that I color keyed with our Highlight Interference Green. So again, it's just color keying, real simple, solid color with an effect color over the top of that. And I think that wraps it up. So for these Bougie buoys, I'm Chris Arpin, and this is Createx Colors, and we'll see you guys next time.